everyone, Mia here again. So I'm going to show you today 5 business growth speed bumps that are slowing you down. So we all want super fast growth. We want to do it as easy as possible without as many hiccups. And so I can tell you that I've done everything the wrong way in the last 15 years being in business. So you can learn from my mistakes and I can get you there faster and smoother. I'm really excited to share with you these 5 business growth speed bumps and how to avoid them. So let's get started. So I've seen so many businesses that I work with go through these exact same things. So if you can see the speed bumps before you get there, you can hopefully avoid them or make them as smooth as possible. And that's really what I've devoted my entire business life to, is finding what those speed bumps are, solving them, and trying to get you to avoid them. So let's go ahead and officially get started and dig into these 5 speed bumps. Okay, speed bump number 1 is that you have no clear vision. And so before you just tune me out and say, oh no, this is fluff stuff, let me go a little deeper into what this is. Okay, the first thing is to know what your role is as an entrepreneur. So I talk about this a lot, where you really need to understand your role. That it's your job to look up and out and to be able to see what's coming up in front of you as a business owner. And so to do that, I always talk about 3 things. So what is your purpose? Like why do you get up in the morning with your company? What's your values? So what are the things that you stand behind no matter what? So you make decisions based off those principles, and it doesn't matter what circumstances hit you. You know what you stand behind. And then what is your vision? So what's the big thing that you want to change in the world? If any of you have heard of Simon Sinek's Start With Why, you can read a lot about your purpose there. You can read his Infinite Leadership book about vision, but there's a lot around that. But the goal is to not get stuck in like the business plan mindset. So I'm kind of anti-business plan, as you'll find as you watch more of these videos. Because a lot of people spend a lot of time planning, and they'll spend 6 months putting all their projections and everything in place. It's important to know those 3 foundational elements, which your purpose, values, and vision is. But after that, you really need to get started. Just start testing the heck out of things. So the other reason why vision is super important is that you think about your values. So in my company, we have 4 values: do the right thing, embrace the uncomfortable, build others up, and get it done. And the thing that these values do is it allows me to know who I need to hire, when I need to fire them, and also what clients I want to attract, and also when I want to fire clients as well. And so it becomes much different business when you are very principle-based, because it takes a lot of the emotion out of it. A lot of times you'll hold employees longer than you should, or keep clients longer than you can, or than you should as well. And so it's really important to really understand your vision and what I call your foundational core of your company. And then it makes business not so difficult, because I can tell you business is really hard. The sooner we realize that, the less hard it becomes. And so if you can understand your foundational elements, then we can kind of go further faster, and we can avoid the speed bumps you're going to be going over in the future. So the second one is not having the right people in the right positions. And I kind of have a confession to make. So I obviously am big into org charts and knowing who to hire and where to put them. But last year, for reasons, I had to go back in the trenches of my business and kind of work through and make sure the vision was in alignment with some things. But the interesting thing is that I kind of forgot to kind of redo my org chart based on the people we had. And it got to where I was realizing it was hard for me to get out of the day-to-day of business again. And kind of the point about the vision, when you have a good culture and a good vision, what happens is a lot of my A players that had left for other reasons had actually come back to my company this last year, about the first of the year. What was cool about that is I was able to redo the org chart. We really redid it together, and we were able to put everybody in their spots. And then we all kind of knew what our roles and responsibilities were and what we were accountable for. And the cool thing about that is that we had this project that was super important and high priority, and everybody had the things that they needed to do. And what was interesting is that my name wasn't anywhere on there. And so as a visionary, when you have the right people in the right positions, they know what they need to do, you're able to empower them and have them be able to make decisions, because you know, again, what your values are, what your purpose is, and what your vision is. And so now when you have the right people in the right positions, you can now empower them to make decisions. Okay, so the third thing is no mapped out processes or SOPs. So I'm saying this with a little bit of hesitation, because as a visionary entrepreneur, I really hate process. I'm one that, because we can see it all, right? We can just get it done and not have to really think through it. And because I've seen so many businesses overplan before and get crippled by process, it can be a detriment. But I also know for growth speed bumps, it is super, super critical to have process and SOPs in place so that people know what to do. I will put this caveat though. Process is to enhance and to have more innovation, not to cripple innovation. And so I'll have other videos where we'll go deeper into that. It's super important to know that process is not there to make it to where your employees can't be empowered, where they can't make decisions, like processes there to improve and enhance innovation. So I just want to make that really clear. Okay, so I'm actually working with somebody right now that is very process focused, but what's cool is she also understands the importance of innovation. So something we're doing is actually pulling a lot of the different processes out there, the agile method, the lean method, you got the EOS, a lot of people implement those kind of systems, and we're trying to pull them together and be like, how can we still have process and not cripple a team? And that's something that I see all of the time happen. So if you want to see more videos around process and not have it cripple your company or cripple your team, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and really share it with other entrepreneurs that are willing to challenge the status quo of business and the way things have been done. So you'll see that I don't always just take what every expert has done out there and say, this is the way you should do it, because everybody else has done it before. I really want to show you how we can do things differently. And I think we don't even understand what we're capable of as business owners and what we can do. And so in this video, I really want to work together on challenging the status quo, challenging what we can do together. So again, like and subscribe to this channel. Okay, number 4 is not setting wildly important goals. And I'm kind of cringing at all of these speed bumps because as visionaries, these are like all things that go against our grain, right? But it's still super important to have goals. And I think you'll realize that I challenge a lot of the norm out there. So a lot of times people, when they set goals, they'll have, okay, here's my quarterly goal, and here's my annual goal, my 5-year plan and 10-year plan, which kind of makes me choke when I hear 10-year plan, because I'm like, my business changes next week. I'm not gonna know what my business is doing in the 10-year plan. Again, if you have your vision, which is in the first bullet point, your 10-year plan really doesn't matter. So what I want you to do is say, okay, what is the most wildly important goal that's gonna make the biggest difference in my business right now? And that is really the most important thing. It's not, hey, what's the thing that I can get done in a quarter? It's what's gonna make the biggest impact on my business. And so for our business, we set a wildly important goal this year of what does it take to onboard 100 clients a week? Like, that is a massive number, but by asking that question, it literally breaks every system we have in our business. Because we're able to do that, we're able to back into that number and be like, okay, it has to be an attainable goal. We think we can onboard 100 by the end of the year. So we say, okay, by January 1st to December 31st, we're gonna be able to onboard 100 clients a week by this date. So goal setting to me is first come up with your wildly important goal. And then from there, you can start to say, okay, now what can we do in a quarter? And then you can break it down into weekly micro commitments and things like that. So obviously, like, we have a big team, and not everybody is going to have the goal of 100 clients a week. In fact, I don't really tell my team this goal because it kind of freaks them out. But what we do is we create little battle goals to support this one. And so, like, my leadership team, we know what the goal is, but we're creating little battle goals, or each team is really creating their own different battle goals, which will help win the ultimate war goal, right? Which is to bring on 100 clients a week. So that's kind of my take on goal setting. It's super important to have. So as you're going over these speed bumps, hopefully they're a little bit smaller when you set these things in place. I just want to do one more angle on the wildly important goal. So think of it as everything I do, as you'll notice in these videos, is about how can I be more agile, right? How can I gain more speed? And so as you're going, think of your wildly important goal as a thing, based on the information you have today, you think this is the most wildly important goal. Let's say it's a fork in a pathway. Okay, this is the goal that's most important. So you're walking along that path and you really don't know, based on what's ahead of you, if that goal is going to be the best goal 2 months from now. Yeah, it's my goal for the next year, but whenever you get more information and more knowledge, be willing to pivot. I'm not saying flip-flop all the time, but I think as businesses, we kind of do our quarterly plan and we think we put it in stone, and we are not willing to shift and adapt based on the information that's fed to us. And we're just in a different realm of business now. We can't do business like we did in the olden days, right? Like the fastest one wins now, and things are always shifting and pivoting. So all of the videos I talk about are all going to come back to speed, agility, and responsiveness. Okay, number 5 is really around not micromanaging or doing everything yourself. And if I had to pick probably the biggest problem of all the thousands of entrepreneurs I've worked with that people have, entrepreneurs have, it really is not being willing to let go. And it really has crippled the growth in companies, and it makes you having to do all the work yourself. Somebody once told me, if you're at least okay with somebody being 80% as good as you, have somebody do it. But I argued that point because with my team, and now that I have the right people in the right seats, again, what bullet point was that, 2 or 3? When you have the right people in the right seats, what happens is they will be 1,000% better than you. And that is the amazing thing when you create a great culture and you have the right team in place, is that you can let go. And the thing is let the balls drop. Be willing to let your team pick them up. because when you have the right values and your team knows what you stand by, where you're headed, you can now empower a team to make decisions for you. So in our company, we make this joke that we always want to blow up rockets. So if you think about the Elon Musk story, what's cool about that story is he would rather blow up rockets than be able to sit behind a computer and plan it to death, hoping that the rocket didn't blow up. So if you know the story, he actually had 4 chances to blow up a rocket before he didn't have any money left, and he literally on the 4th one, he got his $2.5 billion NASA contract. So what's cool about that is that, you got to be willing to blow up rockets in your company. Because again, it goes back to innovation. In order for you to innovate, you got to blow up the rockets and empower your team. And then that is, for the longest time in my business, I always thought I couldn't make mistakes. I had to be the poster child for other businesses and what to do. And man, it took me over a decade to get past that mindset. I would say probably 2 or 3 years ago is when I was like, no, let's just make mistakes. Let's break it. Let's break the process and see what happens. Like that is really the culture that you need to build within your team and within your organization. Okay, so if you're at a point in your business where you want to go further, faster, avoid some of these speed bumps, hopefully learn from me a little bit of the mistakes that I've made, you can go to stressfreesupergrowth.com, where I do a free presentation where we go deeper into these topics and these concepts. Again, it's all about innovating and being agile and speed. And those are the principles that I talk about all the time in these videos, which is really against a lot of what you hear in the old norms of how processes are built and how teams are built. And so I'm gonna throw rocks at a lot of the things that you've probably heard about business. And so again, if you wanna see a lot of these concepts where I go deeper, go to stressfreesupergrowth.com.